Sri Anandamayi Ma ki Jai. This evening, the following statement was made. Through the observance of silence, one attains to supreme knowledge, Gyan. Ma. How is that? Why has the word through been used here? A devotee. Silence is itself wisdom. The means is itself the end. Someone else. By silence, we have to understand the stilling of the five senses. Ma. Yes, but why say through? A devotee. Complete and exclusive concentration on the self. This is the significance of through. Ma. When speech is suppressed, the activity of the mind still continues. All the same, such silence helps to control the mind. As the mind dives deeper, its activity slackens off, and then one comes to feel that he who provides for everything will arrange matters. When the mind is agitated by thoughts of worldly things, the benefit that should be gained by abstaining from speech is lost. One may, for instance, keep silent at the moment of anger, but sometime or other it is bound to burst forth. When the mind is centered in God, it keeps on advancing steadily, and along with this emerges purity of body as well as mind. To let thought dwell on the objects of the senses is a waste of energy. When the mind is thus occupied and silence is not observed, it finds release in speech. Otherwise, this kind of silence might put undue strain on the senses and possibly result in ill health. But when the mind is turned inward, not only can there be no injury to health, but more than that, by constantly dwelling on the thought of God, all the knots, granthi, that make up the ego are unraveled, and thereby that which has to be realized will be realized. To observe silence means to keep the mind fixed on Him. At first, one feels the impulse to talk. Later, all inclination and disinclination vanish. It is also like this. Just as the bee collects honey, so all that one needs is gathered together naturally. What is necessary becomes available of its own accord, presents itself, as it were, when there is ever closer union with Him. When one entirely refrains from speaking and even from communicating by signs or gestures, Kashtamon, how is the body kept alive? Everything dovetails, and the silent person just watches as a kind of spectator. In the measure that one progresses towards union, one will notice that obstacles disappear and whatever is necessary provides itself. It is one thing if everything happens by itself, and quite another to make arrangements by one's own effort. Real silence means there is actually nowhere else for the mind to go. In the end, whether the mind exists or not, whether one speaks or not, makes no difference. To say through silence he is realized is not correct. Because supreme knowledge does not come through anything. Supreme knowledge reveals itself. For destroying the veil, there are suitable spiritual disciplines and practices. Question: what about the silent sadhu at Navadvip? Many years ago, when Ma went to Navadvip with Bhulanath ji, a sadhu there attracted very wide attention. He used to sit all day long in the lotus pose, so perfectly still that it was difficult to find out whether he was a living man or a statue. Everyone felt awed and took it for granted that he was a great saint in a state of deep samadhi. Ma, however, made no comment on the matter. Staying next door to the sadhu, she soon made sure that he bathed, ate, and slept secretly during the night. By and by, the sadhu confided to Ma that he was made to assume that pose in order to get money. Through Ma's benign influence, he gave up this life of deception. Ma, by practice, he made the body still, but his mind had not been transformed at all. It was a case of mere physical control. If his mind had been stilled, that kind of worldly behavior would have been impossible. However, even such practice is altogether not useless. It does lead to some result, but that which is the real need is not found. Sri Anandamayi Ma ki Jai.